Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is Jeremy. I just passed my FTO challenge literally last night during Asian session, and so I want to make a quick video to give out some 5 tips that helped me succeed in the challenge. As the title states, I came back from being down about 8 grand in the challenge to ultimately hitting the profit goal. So I think I got some ideas for folks that have taken the challenge and failed, or folks that are interested in taking the challenge and want to pass. So stay tuned. Mentioned, I just passed the FTMO challenge last night. Feeling pretty good. As I mentioned, I was down about 8 grand in the challenge, which was the wrong direction. It was supposed to be up 10%. I was down 8%, but I stayed focused and I passed. And so I'm in verification now. I'm up just under 1% now in verification. I took a trade this morning. So I want to share some tips for what helped me pass the challenge, particularly because as I've watched other videos on YouTube, as I was preparing for the challenge, as I was taking the challenge, I watched other folks' tips and advice that they provided, and so I wanted to add what I found was successful for me in the challenge. And so I'm gonna add that or mention that towards the end of the video. So before I get into that, I just want to start about for those that either don't know what FTMO is or you do. Let me give you a little bit of background on why I chose to take the challenge. And so I've been trading in general for a while, but specifically trading Forex for about the last year. And I got into it just as an interest to learn a different security. I've traded mostly options, but as an opportunity to learn a different asset class, and have really found to like it and got some successes out of it. But the real catalyst for me, specifically with this challenge right now, is the current environment that we're in the market. I happen to work for an airline full time, and as you know, we're going through a challenging time with COVID-19. There are essentially no flights. The company that I work for, I've seen their revenue drop down about 90% day over day, and so what that means is potentially some furloughs. The airlines took a big bailout package a couple of weeks ago, and so what that does, that secures our jobs through September, and beyond that we're not sure. And so in addition to that, I also had to take a pay cut, and so between now and September I could have just kind of sat and waited for some things to happen, or I could take my life and take the reins of my life in control and try to make a few things happen. So that was part of the catalyst for looking at FTMO. Give me some additional capital to make additional money that will cover the gap, and then ultimately put me in a new perspective of life. And also I think with the timing, though the timing happened around COVID, I had been getting successful in my personal account. I have a personal account that I trade, and for the last year, but for the last year I've been trading, but probably for the last 6 to 9 months I've been really consistent and really feeling good about my strategy and my ability to kind of be a consistent trader. And so why not? Why not? And so I took the challenge. I decided to take the $100,000 challenge, and I thought about whether to start with 10,000 or 25,000. And I decided to go for the most, because if I'm successful, then why not have the larger account, and then I can scale from there. And so with that, I'm gonna walk through I guess quickly just the 3 steps for the process, but just to orient everyone that doesn't know. And so there are 2 steps. First is the challenge, where depending on the account size, you need to grow it by 10% within 30 days. And even though it's 30 days, technically it's only about 20 days, because 20 trading days, but you have that amount of time to grow it 10%. The trading objectives require you to not have a daily loss greater than 5%, or have a maximum loss greater than 10%. And so those are the things that you need to stay within. Once you pass the challenge, you go on to the verification phase. And once you pass verification, you become a funded trader. And verification, I won't say presumably it should be easier. I'm in it now and I expect to pass. But you have the same restrictions, 5% daily loss, 10% maximum loss. But your profit goal is 50% of what it was in the challenge, and you have double the time. So instead of 30 days to complete the verification, we have 60 days. My goal is to complete it in the 10-day minimum. And so that's what I did. And so I'm on step 2. Looking forward to moving to step 3. And so with that, let me get into my challenge and start getting into some of the tips that I think will help you guys. And so here's my FTMO dashboard. You can see my challenge here just passed. It was scheduled to end on the 10th. Today is the 3rd of June, so I finished it early, which was my goal. And so now I'm in the verification phase. Currently up about just under 1%. And so I have until August 1st, but I plan to succeed the second step much faster. So let's jump into the challenge and go through a little bit of it. I've seen other videos where folks go through their detailed trades, and I'm not going to do that. Actually, I already got it pulled up. I'm not going to do that because I find that to be, at least for me, it was less useful because everyone trades differently. But what I do want to show, and I think the biggest takeaway from this particular video is look at my equity curve. I was down pretty much the whole challenge until the very end. And so as I get into the tips later, I think having being able to manage this is part of what I think ultimately made me successful in the challenge. But I started off really strong. My first trade I was up 1%, but then pretty much every day from then on I was down. You'll see some spikes here. Then I got some significant losses. Then I'm pretty much flat. I got some spikes here. Then I'm on a downtrend. But then this is when I hit my stride, and that kind of took me over the top. So overall, it took me about 17 days to pass. I got pretty close to my max daily loss, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Similarly to the max loss, just about $2,000 of room there. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I hit the profit target. And so even if you're down, however long it takes, but you come up, then you'll pass. And I remember being in the trade last night. I knew how many pips I needed, and as soon as I saw my equity balance cross the 110 mark, I closed, and that was it. And so look at some of the stats. I took 194 trades. I do think that is a lot. I think I overtraded a bit, but I was tweaking some things, which I'll talk about a little bit later in my tips. I was tweaking some things throughout, and so that required me to make a few extra trades to test some things during the challenge, which you may or may not want to do. My win percentage is just under 50%, which is pretty good. My average profit greater than my average loss. Profit factor was positive, which is always great. I think these metrics are great to know, but by the end, the main thing is just hit your target. Just hit your target. And so, how did I pass? How was I successful in passing FTMO? At least the first step, right? And so that's what the bulk of this video is going to get into. And so let's just jump into it. I think for me, again, you saw my equity curve was negative for the bulk of the challenge until the last 2 or 3 weeks when I really hit my stride. And so it took me less than 30 days, but I pretty much stretched it out. My challenge was going to end next week, and I finished it just a bit early. And so for those of you who are thinking about taking a challenge, or you've taken it and you perhaps maybe failed, or you're in the middle of it now, these are some things that I think will help you succeed. And so the first that I want to talk about is waiting to take the challenge when you're ready. And so what that means is when you've traded, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be a month. But when you're ready, it's when you can go to the market during your specific trading time or during your specific trading, that according to your trading plan, and consistently enter and close trades in profit, right? And so I like to call it printing money. All right, the market is obviously not predictable and you have to manage your risk, but if you can consistently go to the market and come out profitable, then I think you're in a position to be ready. And so the challenge is not free, and so you don't want to blow a bunch of money taking the challenge over and over. I'm definitely a proponent of trying again, but if you wait until you're ready, you won't have to blow a lot of money on the challenges. So one, have a trading plan, have some successes over the past couple of months that you can rely on to know that your trading plan and your strategy can be successful, particularly in a challenge. I think number two, and it might be self-evident, but be disciplined. Don't break the trading objectives. And so you'll note, I'll just go back really quick to the screen. For me, I got really close to that max daily loss. And the only reason that I didn't hit it is because I knew how much room that I had, and I closed out a trade and I just accepted the loss and stopped for the day. And so within my trading plan for the challenge specifically, each day I knew how many pips I needed, how much profit I needed, and I knew how much that daily loss was. And you have to manage it, to the decimal if necessary. And similarly on the max loss. And the main reason why I say, don't break the trading objectives is because for me, plan A was pass the challenge, but plan B was get a free challenge. Like, don't let my money be lost. Let me, for me, I'm in the US, so it was about $610 to take the challenge. I just didn't want to lose my $610. So I focused on not breaking the trading objectives. So at a minimum, even if I didn't pass it on the profit end, I would at least get another shot to do it. And so if that had happened, that would have been my plan B. And the second challenge is, again, like, just don't lose the $600, right? And so you can do that if you manage your risk, if you manage those trading objectives. You can be really successful. And the third, this was key for me. Keep a positive mind. Keep a positive aspect. I mean, you guys see this. I mean, I pretty much tanked the whole thing. I came down here, and then I had some successes, almost broke even, and then a big drop. And so some of those big drops were me revenge trading, trying to catch up, and taking a bigger loss than I needed to. But even within those big losses, I knew that I needed to stay within the trading objectives, which is why you see it didn't get too close to 10,000. But you got to imagine having this negative equity curve for the bulk of my time in this challenge is disappointing. But for me, why I was positive about it are these spikes, right? These spikes. One, I've traded before, and I've managed to do pretty okay in my own account. But you see these spikes. These spikes to me are proof that that my strategy is successful. I just need to make a few tweaks to kind of get it over the edge. And so part of my tweaks, or part of what helped me keep a positive mind, was having a plan. And so I don't see if I can I don't have my notes in front of me for the plan, but each day I knew how much I needed to make up to hit the 10% on hit the 10% target. I would literally write down, okay, if I'm gonna stretch this challenge out to the max, to the final day, how much do I need to make today in profit? How much do I need to make today in pips? And so I had a specific goal each day. And so if I say I was up on Monday, and then when I started trading on Tuesday, I took a loss, that a loss would be accounted into my plan for Tuesday, and I have to readjust my plan. All right, so now maybe $500 further from the goal. My daily profit and pip goal for today is much higher. This is the new goal. So every moment of the challenge, I knew the pace that I needed, like pip wise and profit wise, to stay on track. And so to me, that gave me more control over the experience, because I knew exactly what I needed to do. And so having a plan is great, but you got to hit it too, right? And so those spikes were when I was hitting the plan. I just needed to do a little bit more tweaks to get it right. But having that plan helped me know, all right, it's achievable. I can get a 10 pip move today. I can get a 10 pip move tomorrow. I can be consistent. And so what can I adjust to make sure that those moves go in my favor and go in my favor more often? And so the fourth point is just that. Be patient and wait for your best setup. So if you've been trading a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, 6 months, and you've been checking the trading journal, you'll know, or at least have a better idea of what your best setups are. And so for me, to get out of the hole and to get one back to positive on the challenge and ultimately pass it, I had to just be patient. I had to really be patient and just wait on my setups. And I primarily trade breakouts and pullbacks. Breakouts and pullbacks. And so where I was getting into trouble was getting in too early, right? And so that's a challenge in itself. But waiting for those setups specifically, and waiting for higher time frame confirmations before entering my moves is what really helped me. Like, it's hard to be patient, but you really have to do it. I think one of the things that's interesting about Forex is we do a lot of simulation trading, whether you got your bar replay on TradingView or you have your other simulators that you use. And when we're doing simulating, like the time is much different than when you're trading in the real market. So being patient when there's money on the line or when you're waiting for a trade sub is very different than in the simulation. But building that mental and emotional capital to be able to be patient for your setups is key to not wasting trades and not getting not wasting pips and drawdown when you don't have to. So be patient. And this tip number 5, this is what really kind of changed the game for me. And so I'm going to go back to my curve really quick. Remember, I'm negative most of the challenge, but you'll see these consistent wins here. Even a drop here, slowly but consistently going up. I get a good pop here, down here, but then bam, I hit it. And so the key for this stretch at the end, the key for me was knowing when to go for home runs. And so what I mean by that is, I think in trading, whether it's Forex, options, stocks, whatever, I think the long-term mentality is to go for singles, right? I'd rather be consistently hitting singles every day and then trying to go for home runs, get home runs sporadically. But for the challenge specifically, right, I needed to know when to go for home runs. And so what that meant is, if I'm waiting for my best setups, when it occurs, instead of trading, I pass the challenge primarily on 10 lots, on $100 lots, is to go heavy. Go heavy. And so conventional wisdom has taught us, risk 1 to 3% per trade, and I totally agree with that. And I managed mine just the same. But what happened, what I changed is, when I got a setup that I was really confident in, I would increase my risk. And so the where it worked out for me is, and I'll have to do another video to show some examples, but for me, particularly when I trade breakouts, my breakouts tend to not go in drawdown. I trade GJ specifically, and so GJ, when I get into it, it tends to run. And so for those particular trades, what I would do is I would open up maybe 3 to 5 trades. As soon as it hit 1 pip in profit, I put them all at break even. All of them at break even, because at that point it's a risk-free trade across the 5 lots. And if it pulls back, I'm accepting that if it pulls back and stops me out, I'm okay with it because I didn't lose anything. But more times than not, it didn't pull back. It rocketed forward. And so where there is some risk in that particular tweak that I made, there can't be a reward without risk. And I think I managed those type of trades very well, because I only did that on my best setups. I only did that when I was really confident in the move, and I was okay with accepting the risk, right? I had stop losses on each trade that I entered. I knew exactly what I was looking for, and I waited for it to happen, and I executed, right? It got 1 pip in the profit, I put them all at break even. I'm at a risk, so now I'm at a risk-free trade. If they all go up, I win. And so that last stretch is doing just that. waiting for my really good setups and then trying to hit a home run on it. Or maybe not even a home run, just adding a little extra juice is probably the best way to say it. And so those are the 5 tips that I think helped me really succeed in the challenge. Moving forward into verification, I'm going to continue to manage risk 1 to 3% per trade. But when I find those setups that I've seen over and over and over again that I'm really confident in, again, I'm going to enter a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more risk, but I'm going to manage it tightly. Right? I'm going to add a little bit more risk, and once I get a little bit in profit, I'm going to put them all at break even, and I'm going to let it run. And so I hope that this video was helpful. I am going to do an update video once I pass verification, and then again once I do a withdrawal, because I know that's another area of interest as well. Do you actually get the withdrawal? I've seen videos where people have gotten it. I want to see for myself, so I'm excited about that part. And then I am on a road to 300,000. So once I pass the verification for this first funded account, I plan to do it 2 more times. And remember, for me, I have an extra catalyst because I don't think that I'm gonna get laid off, but I could in September. And so these are, working from home and some opportunities for me to make sure that I take care of myself and my family. And so so knowing your why also helps. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, drop a like or a comment, and good luck on your trading.